A closer look at how tariffs are going to affect you and your wallet. We've got team coverage examining when they set in, how soon that you'll see the effects there, and steps you can take in the middle of some of this uncertainty. We're going to start with Jay O'Brien now, looking at the tariffs and their timing. Good morning again, Jay.
Yeah, Gio, good morning again. There are a lot of tariffs already in place and more set to begin in just days. 10% across the board tariffs targeting hundreds of countries and covering most goods imported into the U.S. went into effect at midnight yesterday, remember. Those were what the administration says are just the baseline tariffs, hitting a long list of countries and territories. Also, Trump's 25% tariff on all imported cars and car parts, that's already in effect. And there's already a 20% tariff on Chinese goods. China already hitting back on that with its own 34% tariff on U.S. imports. But the next date to watch here is April 9th. That's when those specific steeper tariffs will snap into place, targeting more than 50 countries that the administration says have an imbalanced trade relationship with the U.S. That includes additional tariffs on China, plus on Vietnam and the European Union and more. And it's those tariffs that most economists warn could drive some of the largest price hikes here. So the big question, will any of these tariffs be softened or stalled because of ongoing trade negotiations, as the president has done in the past, Janae?
That certainly is a big question. Another big question top of mind here is when these increased tariffs will affect prices, and Zohreen Shah is looking at that. Hey, Zohreen.
Janae, for some things, potentially very soon. You'll likely see the impact from tariffs on fresh produce the fastest because it goes bad very quickly. One example is bananas. We get a large number from Guatemala, or grapes. Many are imported from Peru, and both countries now face a 10% tariff. Grocery stores are telling me they are still trying to assess how to absorb or pass on the cost. Other food products with longer shelf life, like chocolate and cheese and alcohol, will likely see price hikes within the next 3 months or possibly sooner. I spoke to a cheese shop owner nearby who started crying when I called her. She said they've already pre-bought some cheese and made commitments to farms in Europe going into 2028. She says they will absorb some costs, but consumers might see price changes in about 3 weeks' time. She says she does not know if she will remain open in the near future. For appliances and clothing, expect to see changes within the next 4 to 6 months, just ahead of back-to-school shopping. When it comes to electronics, it's going to depend on how much of the tariffs major companies will absorb or pass on to the consumer. I spoke to one mom-and-pop clothing store owner who gets all of her shipments from abroad, who told me she was in crisis mode, and it feels like the COVID era all over again for her business. Many items she will pass on the cost to consumers, but she fears she will lose buyers to cheaper stores or places that can absorb the costs. For the price of cars, you'll likely start to see that shift in the next 1 to 2 months, but experts are advising that if you can, buy now or repair your car sooner than later.
Some really difficult decisions here. Zohreen, thank you. Now to Alexis Christoforous for some ideas on what people can do as they consider the impact on their finances here. Alexis?
Look, guys, all this talk of tariffs and higher prices may be tempting you all to run out and start to stockpile up on essentials like toothpaste and toilet paper. Look, if that gives you peace of mind and you can both afford it and you have the storage space for it, experts say it's not a bad idea. Economists say the tariffs could increase prices for everyday items and cost the average family of four an extra $7,200 a year. Wow. But while making some purchases now may make sense, experts are warning against panic buying, especially if you're strapped for cash. Experts say you don't want to take on new debt to buy something now because you're trying to avoid possibly paying more later. They recommend prioritizing your spending. While you can't control prices, you can control what you buy. So if you don't really need that new TV or refrigerator right now, it may be best to wait. Economists say it's important to remember here these tariffs are most likely not permanent. President Trump has said he's open to negotiations. Some of these tariff rates could be lowered in the coming weeks, even rolled back altogether.
Important. No panic buying, right? If you can avoid it. Also, the news of the tariffs really rattled the stock market. How should people be thinking about that in all of this?
It's hard, right? But you don't want to make your emotions sort of guide your decisions. If you pull money out of a retirement fund or a college plan early, you can get hit with some big penalties. And if you need to tap that money in the next year or so, analysts say you may want to consider moving it into less volatile investments like bonds, at least some of it, or hold on to a little bit more cash. And if you don't need the money for a few years, these dramatic sell-offs can be a buying opportunity. You know, there's a saying, it's not about timing the market, but about time in the market. And over the years, that has proven to be true.
Absolutely. I am so glad we did this. Such helpful information. Thank you so much, Alexis, Jay, Zohreen. We so appreciate it all.